Okay. You're welcome back. The program is still new day if you're just joining us. And before we left you, we told you that when we come back, we shall be having a series of discussion. We shall be looking at the last budget and a whole lot of things that has to do with the budget of 2016. And with us here in the studio to talk about it, we have Stanley Achono. He's the operations manager, BudgIT. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good morning.
All right.
Morning.
Now, you may want to start by telling us about hashtag openness.
So about, this is almost 2 years, surprising. When we started to, ask questions about how the National Assembly budget was being managed and was being spent. In the 4 years between 2009 and 2013, the total allocation that went to the National Assembly was 600 billion on an average of 150 billion budgetary allocation every year. And why this is interesting is that the National Assembly is on the first line charge. What I mean by first line charge is that if at the end of the year the only money the federal government earns is 150 billion, the National Assembly must get priority first before any other person. In 4 years, they got allocation of 600 billion, but nobody knew what exactly they were spending this money on.
Okay.
We wrote then to the then Senate President, David Mack,
Okay.
a Freedom of Information request asking for breakdown of both the budget for that year and budget implementation report for the previous 4 years that amounted to 600 billion. They sent us a response which was quite a little funny because they said that they cannot release the information we're asking for because it contains personal information, third-party information, and patent information. This is public funded budget. I don't know whose personal information in the budget. Is it his name or House of Reps member's name that I already know? Or what is the secret document that is patented that is in the budget? So my organization thought that as Nigerians we deserve to know, and it's critical because the National Assembly is the arm of government charged with oversight, charged with holding the entire government structure accountable, charged with the power to make sure that our money is spent transparently and in an accountable format. And if that arm of government is not transparent, is not accountable, it means they've already failed before even they start that duty. And we have seen the result of that with how our budget has been implemented in the past and how their role as oversight watchdogs over the budget has failed, in terms of making sure that we get value for money for our budget.
Okay. So in all, now what points do you really want to drive home?
So the key thing we want to do is make sure that we are funding our budget, our National Assembly rights, and that we are not engaged in excess funding, or we are not underfunding them. So we can't say it one way or the other. That's the case because we don't know what they're using their money for. So first of all, I always tell people that the National Assembly is just an entry point into our long-term goal. National Assembly is not the only one who enjoys this statutory allocation as I've described. There are several other agencies that also enjoy that statutory allocation where they do not provide breakdown, they just get a lump sum allocated to them and they spend as they wish. There are also organizations like Nigerian Customs Service that get a particular percentage of anything they collect. So they get, I think the last time I checked it was about 15% of any revenue they collect. They can keep that for their own operation. So if they collect 1 trillion naira, they can keep 15% of that. Even if they don't need up to that amount, they can keep that. So there are all sorts of questions there, and our aim is to plug all those little revenue leakages in the system. There is CBN that does not publish a budget. There is NNPC that does not publish budget. But we are using the National Assembly as an entry point because if we can get that arm of government constitutionally charged to hold others accountable, it means that it will be easy to then force them to hold others. So if they summon CBN and say provide detailed breakdown of your budget, if they summon Customs Service and say provide detailed breakdown of your budget, they are standing on a moral ground asking others to do what they have done. In this case, they can't do that, and they are not doing it because they know what the response will be.
Okay. All right, we've got one House of Rep member, Honorable Ayo Omidiran. She had the responses on some of the tweets on your own Twitter handle. She says this was as regards the lawmakers, you know, making public. She says, sure, after the executive and judicial officials have made theirs known. For you, with that kind of response, is that not probably telling BudgIT the direction to go first?
So if BudgIT goes to the executive and they say when the National Assembly and the judiciary make theirs open first, we'll do that. And if we go to judiciary and they tell us when the National Assembly and the executive make their own open first, it means we will never make progress. So there is no law that says that this person, or there is no moral ground that says that it must be this person who will do it first before I do it. In any case, there are already publicly available documents about how for example, let's use the Aso Rock, for example. If you go and check the 2016 budget, there is a breakdown of how they intend to spend the allocation. In the case of National Assembly, where can she point us to where there is a breakdown of how they will spend the money? I know there are outrageous line items in the Aso Rock budget. There are 300 million for wiring of a guest house and all of that. But we can question that because there is detail. Remember when the 2016 budget came out, there was an allocation of 3 billion for purchase of BMW cars for the presidency, right? It took the public knowing this detail and raising alarm for the president to dissociate himself from that, right? So you need even the detail in order to be able to ask questions. In the case of National Assembly, where do you start asking questions when you do not have any information other than that single line item that appears in the budget and says National Assembly 115 billion? So her question of saying go to the executive is already defeated because I know what the detail of what, at least I know what amount goes to the Aso Rock. I know what the recurrent part of that amount is. I know what the capital expenditure of that amount is. I can mention specific line items that money will be spent on. In the case of National Assembly, that can be done. In any case, the honorable member in question was asked about how much she's paid from public purse. And her response is that what is good for the goose is good for the gander. It doesn't make sense. And then she calls herself a member of Transparency group.
All right, my second question is, if you look at, in some quarters, people want to know where do they classify budget? Is it a CSO? Is it another arm of the media? And probably also wanting to know the founder, who is sponsoring this agenda you're pushing forward?
Okay.
Because there's a school of thought that feels like you want to use this avenue to gain more ground and probably use the sentiment and emotions of people to put BudgIT out there in the public space.
We hear that a lot, and our story is something we're very glad to share. There is no interest that we're protecting, and I always throw this challenge. Say it's politically driven. I always throw the challenge. If you can mention one person, we've been here for 5 years, and in the last 4 years, all the accusation was that the opposition funded us. Today, they've also claimed that the opposition is funding us, and the opposition has changed, right? The truth is that BudgIT started 5 years ago. And my boss, who founded the organization, was a banker. He worked for First Bank of Nigeria at their headquarters in the strategy department. But he recognized that for you to have a literate citizenship, right, they need to also understand how government finances worked. So if you own a company and you want to hire somebody to run your business, you need to know your business first, right, before you can hire somebody who can then transform your business ideas into a profitable venture. That's how it is with electing government officials, because at the end of the day, when you elect leaders, it's for them to manage public resources, whether it's natural resources revenue, whether it is taxes that come out of your pocket. But that knowledge was missing. So how do Nigerians elect the right leaders without knowing how their public finances is managed? So we thought that we can bridge this gap by enlightening Nigerians about the public finances and about how their revenue funds government and how they can hold government accountable. And that we have done in the last 5 years. without any funding from any Nigerian. All of our supporters come from international non-governmental organizations. And yes, we are a non-governmental organization. We are not affiliated to any political organization. So if you check our history, we have taken on all sides of government. So both PDP and APC, we have treated everybody equally. So when the last government was in power, we were engaging the officials of that government the same way we are currently engaging this one. So we haven't changed. Some people expected
but
us
do you
to
think you've made success?
So
You
yes.
said you've
Yes.
how
Yes.
how
Yes,
what has changed? Because
okay, so
if you've been here for 5 years and the National Assembly is still not open.
Our work is not only on National Assembly.
Okay, so can you tell one precise one you've done that is now open, that you can say it's a success story?
No, so let's not model the issues up. There are a couple of, maybe I should explain our areas of focus. So aside from public engagement, we also do institutional engagement and reform. So we help a lot of government agencies improve their processes. For example, before now, the National Assembly Budget Office could not analyze the budget proposal that is sent to them and accurately advise members on discussing and passing of the budget. We provided institutional training for their entire staff, right? We have engaged the budget and planning ministry in a series of reform issues, leading to their one of the changes they've made to the budget process this year is that they've recognized, based on what we have told them, they've recognized that budget process is not something you can complete in 2-3 weeks, right? You need to start early, and they've sent MTEF early, and within the next 1 month, they will send the budget proposal to the National Assembly to allow more time for debate. So we're engaging government on all levels. So we are engaged with yes, I'm in Abuja today because we've had a series of meetings with the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation on open government partnership. How can government agencies begin to use data to communicate better? So there are a lot of things we are doing. It's not, our work is not National Assembly. National Assembly is something we just, one of the things we thought, one of the reform process we thought we could start, and we started that 2 years ago, that we haven't gotten there yet, is a product of how engaged Nigerians are. So it's not a matter of our failure. We're also doing a lot of grassroots engagement. I've been to more communities than I can count, right? I've gone, I'll give one example. There's a community in Ogun State, where the community was personally raising money to build a school. But that same school was provided for in the 2015 budget, right? And they didn't know. We got that community engaged with their legislator, and they pressured the legislator to make sure that that school was built. And we have tons of that similar stories all over the country.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted, the fact that you've been in the process for 5 years now, so that means you have an idea as regards this 2016 padding budget and all that.
Yes. How
come we still had this issue of budget padding, even when you were already involved with them in the whole process?
Again, we are not government agency, remember?
Yeah, no, but you said you've been working with them, and part of the thing was this budget.
So the challenge, let me explain the challenge with 2016 budget. The challenge with 2016 budget was time factor.
Okay.
Remember, the government came in and ministers were not appointed until very late, until late November.
True.
When the ministers came into office, the president had communicated to the National Assembly that the ministers came in on the 11th of November. The president communicated to the National Assembly that the 2016 budget will be submitted to the National Assembly on the 22nd of December. That's less than a month for you to prepare an entire country's budget. So it was a time factor where the government agencies were working against time to make sure that they have a budget proposal available for the president to present to the National Assembly. And with that rush, and normally, even in normal times, it takes about 3 months to prepare the budget. So in less than a month, you are doing the same for a government that is new, for ministers that are less than 2 weeks old in office. So it was a matter of having the time to check through, do rigor check of the budget. So it wasn't a matter of that somebody failed at the job. So I'll give you one instance. I went to one government agency I work with, and I was asking them, how is it that your agency that does not do anything related to capital project have a budget line item saying road construction? They said it wasn't there in their budget. So it was a matter of whoever was making that input into the document, taking another agency's budget line item and putting it under their own line item. That was what was the major challenge with 2016 budget. you know.
Okay. Right. Now, talking about the recent allegations by Honorable Jibrin in the House, have you been able to reach out to him on all of the allegations he made?
Yeah, you know, it's also very dicey because when you go along with Honorable Jibrin's allegation, you also be accused of taking sides. So we are very, very careful of remaining focused on what we have asked for. All of the allegations that Honorable Jibrin made can only be verified if we see the breakdown of the National Assembly budget, right? If he says that his colleagues are getting 10 million naira every month, and some are getting 1.2 billion, and some are getting 1.900 million, some are getting 1 billion. We can only verify that information if the National Assembly publish breakdown of what they have done with the money allocated to them, right? So if we want to be sensational, we'll go ahead and carry Honorable Jibril's allegation, and then he will only take the Speaker of the House of Assembly to say what he has said is not true, and that ends the matter, right? But to verify who is telling the truth or not, we need to get to the breakdown of the National Assembly budget. So Honorable Jibril's allegation only confirms that what we are asking for, which predates this incident, is the only way to solve the challenge of transparency and accountability in National Assembly. Begin to show the public how you are spending the money. So Honorable Jibril's allegation, as we are watching it very closely, and it ties to what we have feared, because when you look at the official amount that has been published by the Wage Commission on how much the National Assembly should earn, when you compare it to the amount that is given to them as allocation, it doesn't match up. So if we base it strictly on wage allocation as officially authorized, the National Assembly shouldn't be spending anything more than 50 billion a year.
Okay. Now let's go back to a tweet on your Twitter handle. You tweeted, "Did you know that NAS budget is fully guaranteed as statutory transfer? If Nigeria drills 1 barrel of oil, NAS gets 115 billion naira. #OpenNAS."
Yes.
Can you please expatiate
So
on this?
that was why I was referring to, that their money is guaranteed, right? So when the revenue is earned and it goes into federation accounts and is shared between state, local government and federal government, when the federal government get their share of the money, they must give before they consider emergency, priority, whatever, they must first of all remove the National Assembly's money and hand to them before they think about paying hospitals, renovating road, building schools. They must give National Assembly their own money. So if after sharing of federation account, the federal government receives only 150 billion, they must first give National Assembly
115
their own money. So no matter what happens, National Assembly must be taken care of before any. So nobody is more important in this system than the National Assembly.
Now, how positive are you that all of these, advocacies you're making is going to have any effect? How positive are you that they will go back and look at the whatever is allocated to them and reduce it? Because some Nigerians also are of the opinion that given this time of recession, we should look at cutting down the costs, yes, from the legislators. Why do you think that there's a will coming from them, to do this? Are they willing to look at the plight of whatever is going on in the country and say, okay, let's cut down on our allowance? Do you think they would?
Leaders
they would adhere to
look
it.
At the country they govern and make sure that they are.
But
also
as it is,
in tune.
the leaders in our country, they don't.
So they are not. So clearly they are not. But this is what I would say. I'm hopeful that we'll achieve results. I can't tell you timeline of when that will happen. Also remember that we're already in court with the National Assembly on this issue. So we have sued the National Assembly based on the Freedom of Information law. Okay. So we are using multi-pronged approach. But we are still hoping that Nigerians will see reason why there are hungry people in this country. Things have become tough. Why should a set of people elected to watch over us, to protect our interests, just act as if they are not in tune with what is happening? Everybody in our own personal lives, we know that things have changed. For example, the amount it cost me to put fuel in my car in a week has increased, if not almost doubled. How is it that the National Assembly is not even making any effort to act as if they understand the challenges that we are in, by saying, let us invest more by reducing the amount we are allocated to, right? Let us channel some of this money into education, into road, into infrastructure that will improve people's life. No, we haven't seen any of that. People, even in private sector, people are taking pay cuts, right? When the oil industry tanked, when the oil revenue tanked, oil companies were offering their employees either we downsize or you take a pay cut. I know friends who work in the oil and gas industry who also had to say, I will take half of my current salary so that my colleagues will remain on the job. Why is it that we haven't seen that kind of response from the National Assembly? I know what their first reply will be, why are you not asking the executive or the judiciary to do the same? Right? But somebody has to take the lead. Somebody has to provide leadership, and that's what leadership is about. Somebody has to show the light for others to follow.
Okay, I remember some time ago there was a protest, Occupy, hashtag occupying us, and people were at the front of the National Assembly for a while. I think the protest then was about, Saraki's resignation. But at the end of the day, nothing was done. Like, it was like the citizens of Nigeria came and wasted their time. It was like, whatever you do, you can stay there for all I care. Nothing happens. The Senate President will not resign if he doesn't want to. Your protesting will not make him resign. Yes.
So a honorable member, Honorable Hembe, already said that if you want to occupy us, feel free. You can stay there for as long as you want. They're not going to budge, and it shows you everything. You can't. I can't imagine anywhere else in the world where an elected official can say that publicly with confidence and with certainty that nothing will happen.
So as it's like this,
you can complain all you want.
So what
you can complain all you want and nothing will change. But look, should we all go home and stop trying to make change? That's the question, right? One way to look at it is that, do we all give up and say, let these guys continue to act the way they are acting, let them continue to manage the resources as the way they are managing, and we all just go home and die of hunger? So somebody has to continue and hope that one day something will give. That we do not achieve results in the immediate, and I don't believe in quick fixes, right? I don't believe that is a short term. And in my organization, we are not looking at this as a short term process. We already signed up to this because we know it will be a long process. No changes happen easily. People expect these things to be given on a platter. We don't think so. We know that it will be a hard fight, and we're in for it. We're already using the courts. We're using the media. We want the public engaged in the process because it's no one person can solve this problem.
All right. When you were talking, you mentioned the fact that you have international donors that are supporting you.
Yes.
Because you've mentioned all the good things you're doing, but you've not told us how you get funding because you cannot be doing it for free. But though you mentioned you have international donors supporting you, have you also thought about the idea of probably getting some, from the legal point of view now, international, the ICC and other agencies that could put pressure on the Nigerian government and the National Assembly to help your cause?
I think that on this National Assembly issue, I think this is an internal process that Nigerians can take care of. And we're already exploring all of the avenue. I've mentioned that we're already in court.
Yes.
And our organization, we have resolved that we'll go all the way. And before we went to court, we know how long it takes to get a court judgment. So we are not expecting that this will end in a year or two. Right, so we also.
But do you trust the judiciary? If you look at all the negative things about the judiciary, bribery and all that,
I have absolute trust in the judiciary.
Is it that you've gotten some lawyers that are not Nigerians, or
no? This is a Nigerian process. There is no outside influence in this, and this is structured strictly within our organizations. There is nobody who has said do this. We thought about it because we know what kind of reforms this can lead to. If we succeed with the National Assembly, we are hopeful that it will have a ripple effect. And that's why we are targeting National Assembly. Because if the National Assembly publishes their budget, no government agency can confidently go to National Assembly and say, approve this amount without breakdown. They can do it now because National Assembly is not doing it. It's a moral fight. So we are hopeful, and this is strictly a Nigerian-driven process. No outside influence, no political influence. It's an institution reform-based process, right? So we are hopeful that the courts will give judgment. We are hopeful that Nigerian people will be engaged. We're also speaking to government officials, so we are not doing. This is not an antagonistic us versus them fight. We're also sitting down with these government officials. I know I have met with the Senate President during a public hearing, during a private meeting, and we have spoken about this. So it's not that these guys are there and we are somewhere else and we are not talking. We are talking. I've met with his team who, when he was making the promises that the budget will be made available along the 2016 budget, I met with his assistants who were working on the budget. So what I still do not understand is why they changed their mind about publishing it, because it was very clear he was going to publish it. And public pressure then was very high. And he wanted to keep his promise. But maybe because, I don't know what it is, but he changed his mind about, or maybe he still hopes to keep his promise. We are continuing to engage with them. We're continuing to use the court. We're continuing to use the public.
Because so, my curiosity is the fact that you're going to pay these lawyers, and it's going to be from your own personal purse, right?
Yes.
Okay, and
how do we earn the money to pay?
That's where I'm going, because you're sounding just too angelic. You have to be real. We want to know, okay, how are you going to get these funds? Because these lawyers, we know, it's going to be for a long while. How are you going to sustain paying these people?
So the lawyer that is working on our case is also understands the process. Is also clued into
the cost. Okay.
The cost. So it's not costing us as much as you expect when you hear big lawyers charge millions of naira. But also my organization is a very sustainable one.
All right.
So
how do you sustain?
At the moment here, we're getting a lot of we are basically donor funded. But we have been thinking about our own sustainability. We have skills in our organization that private sector businesses also require. So we have started to offer that skill to earn money to sustain our organization. So we are not, and like I mentioned, no, and I tell the people this thing: if you say any Nigerian has given us money for this organization, let the person come out and say it. We are not, and we have our annual account published on our account on our website, so you can look it up and see our source of revenue and our expenditure. So we are not living what we're not living what we are not preaching. So we're asking people to be accountable. We're also accountable to the public.
Okay. Now going back to your Twitter handle, this is from a curious tweeter, a curious Nigerian asking. He tweeted, this is from Komolafe Busui. How much does Buhari earn as the president? Why make it look as if only the legislative arm is our problem? Hashtag ask question.
Okay, so if you go to the Nigerian Wages Commission website, there's already a breakdown of what each person earns. But that's not, so the president gets about 4 million naira annually. But
annually or monthly?
Yeah, annually. Annually, his basic is about 4 million. So, but you know, we know what happens with that. We know there are all sorts of obstacles, there are all sorts of allowances that balloon these things up, right? And the same applies to the National Assembly. But I can tell you that for the State House, you can easily begin to gauge how much goes into personnel cost when you look at the budget. Because if you look at the State House budget, there's a total amount allocated for personnel. There's a total amount allocated for overhead. And then there's a total amount allocated for personnel or capital projects, right? So if I remove capital projects, if I remove overhead costs, I know how much remaining for salary payments, right? I can then begin to say how many people work in the State House, right? I can begin to, do the breakdown. Oh, there are this amount of directors, there are this amount of level 15, level 16 people, and this is the average amount these people get. I can know when they have inflated their salaries. In the case of National Assembly, you can't know that. One of the things that Honorable Jubril said was that, okay, so the National Assembly, they're allowed to hire aides, I think on the average 4, right? Some of them have ballooned salaries for these aides some are paying some of their aides on paper, 1 million naira a month. And they do not have those aides. Some of them will then hire relatives who they can pay peanuts, and then but on paper there are a lot of issues with National Assembly. I'm not making them, when people say why you not focused on the president, they forgot that in 2012 when subsidy was removed in this country, it was my organization who found that the State House was going to spend 1 billion naira on feeding. Since we raised that issue, go and check the feeding for the State House. It has dropped to about 200-300 million. Those are changes, right? When people make those kind of statements, they just want to distract from the issue. Some of them are, and I say this with my experience, dealing with these guys. As soon as you turn attention to the State House, to the Aso Rock, a new group will rise up and say, why are you not focused on the National Assembly? It's all distraction tactics. We've seen this thing. My organization is focused on what we want. we know that once the National Assembly is able to provide details of their budget,
Yeah.
it will have ripple effect on several other government agencies who are also operating in similar fashion as the National Assembly. We know what we didn't sit one day and just randomly choose the National Assembly. It was a strategic choice to go after the National Assembly because they have a oversight function over the entire government of this country, including the judiciary.
All right. What would you outline as the major challenges you've been facing trying to achieve this goal so far?
Challenges are so many.
Yeah, but there are some key ones that, you know, without crossing those challenges, you cannot even go any further.
I think that one of the biggest issue I would see is that, you know, delay with our judiciary, because the case we filed against the National Assembly was since last year. We haven't made as much progress as we expect, and if our judiciary functioned better by now, more than a year is enough to give judgment on a simple case of saying provide details of your budget, right? So that's one challenge, but we have absolute trust.
But what have they been saying that is the reason?
It's still the same. It's the same challenge you have with every court case you file. It's about delays. It's about how many cases the judge has to attend to. It's about priority. You know, there are all sorts of things. So it's not something. I also recognize the challenge the judiciary face. There are all sorts of challenges in terms of resources and manpower and all of that. So I'm not here to criticize them. It's the system we have, and we're hoping that some of the reforms that we're asking for example, maybe if one day the National Assembly publishes their budget and we realize that they do not need more than 50 billion to function, we can, you know, redirect some of the excess resources that we have given to them to make improving our judiciary. So there are a lot of things that can happen if see, the leakages with the systems are always very systematic. Always very systematic. It works for one person, that person will continue to use it. Even if the personality changes, as long as that loophole exists and somebody have exploited it, another person will come in and use it. I'll give you the instance of ghost workers, right? And it was something we tracked in the early days about how much ghost workers was costing government. Every time they were announced, oh, we have removed 1,000 people from ghost workers from payroll, right? Is anybody charged to court? That money was going into somebody's account. As long as nobody was prosecuted, another person will go back and plug 1,000 names back into the system and continue to earn that money. One reform-minded person will come and say, I've removed 1,000 people, 1,000 ghost workers from the payroll. Give it 1 year or two, and that person closes that 1,000. Except you close that hole.
Okay, did you follow through the recent one, the finance minister did acknowledge the about 22,000 or more? Was there any form of...
Of course, there was none. And we've written a freedom of information request saying, tell us who was receiving the money. I know one other organization, SERAP, has also taken the case to court. And in fact, the SERAP challenged the case to the point where a court had to give a contempt of court ruling against Okonjo-Iweala as well. So, but the good thing about what has changed so far is that with the new ghost workers that they are spotting, the BVN is now helping them cut off people. So, before you will see one person, my name is Stanley Achonu. I can have my name as Stanley Achonu on the payroll. I can have my name as Achonu Stanley on the payroll, and then I can use the second name and my surname and then reverse it again. So my name can appear in that payroll 6 times, right? But I can only get one BVN. So I can have 6 bank accounts before now that are not linked together, and the same government agency is paying me 6 salaries to 6 different accounts. But with BVN, I have to provide only one BVN. One. And that BVN is the one that is used to pay your salary. So you can't have 2. There's no way you can have two BVN. Even if you have 6 bank accounts, if you go to one bank and register for BVN and go to another bank and register for BVN, they will tell you that you should link the 2 of them together, the 2 accounts together, right? So that's what systematic closure does to you. So you will need to go and find a different Stanley Achonu in order to get a different BVN in order to put to that payroll system. So this is how using system to block a system that is already gaming the system, right? In the case of National Assembly, this is what we hope to do. If we can get the National Assembly to change how they are managing their resources, they can also get others around them to change how they are managing their resources.
Okay. Now, a very last tweet coming from a follower here at Kenneth Odoemene. It says, if you want an hashtag openness, engage your reps or occupy their local office, except that is not what your sponsor wants.
There is no sponsor. First of all, there is no sponsor.
Okay.
And it's good that he mentioned engage your local rep. Our partner organization on this, Enough is Enough Nigeria, we worked for a year to get information about each House of Rep member and each senator, phone number, their offices in their constituency, their office number in the National Assembly. So if you go to their website called shineyoureye.org, you'll find that. So so it's not, we're not doing all of this because we think that us alone, between the two organizations, we can fight this battle. We want to empower people to be able to engage. So they've published phone numbers, they published email addresses. So we expect people to begin to contact those National Assembly members. The last time when the senator representing the area in the senatorial district in where we operate from in Lagos had a town hall meeting, we were there. We went there and we asked questions. So we are not saying you must come to Abuja in order to engage. Those people are paid. Let me tell you one story. The community where I said there was a budget provision for them in their community, right? For a school, that they were raising the fund. When we went and told them that there is a 25 million budget under MDG, as it was then, there was a 25 million budget for provision of a block of 3 classrooms in this same primary school that you are raising fund for. And they said, what can we do? We said, write your senator. And we wrote that letter on their behalf. And then they put it on their own letterhead, inviting their senator to their community for a town hall meeting. And they told the senator that if you do not come, we will go ahead and choose a new representative during the next election. The senator went there. He met with the community. And he told them that, look, I'm a legislator. I'm not executive. I'm not the one implementing the budget. The community was like, okay, maybe you should come back to the community so that we can travel to Abuja and represent ourselves, right? And what the senator did was he wrote to the president's special assistant on MDG then and said, look, this is the letter I received from my community about this primary school. And they've told me that there is a 25 million naira provision for it. When are you going to do procurement for this? And after he sent that letter, the special assistant to the MDG to the president did procurement for that school. Contractor mobilized to site, and the community, they were there, telling the contractor that we know the amount for this project is 25 million naira. So we must see 25 million naira worth of work. Right? That is a community that has taken active participation in governance. They could have as well raised that money, tax themselves, tell market women to contribute 100 or 200 to build that school for their children. But they've also solved that problem by insisting that money allocated for them works for them. And that's what we expect Nigerians to do. It's not a budget or EIE fight. This fight is for everybody. If, for example, the National Assembly cuts off 20 billion of their budget at the end of the day, and it goes to funding, say, University of Abuja. I've gone past university level. I already have a degree. I'm not going back to university level, to University of Abuja anymore. Maybe my children will benefit from that effort. So it's not, people tend to personalize this thing, and I recognize when they do this, they will tell you, oh, why are you not doing this? Why don't you go and face that one if it's important to you?
All right, let's as we begin to get ready to wind up, is there a time frame for this struggle? Yes, you said you know, but why I'm asking of time frame is, if somewhere in future, not like I'm wishing you that, but let's assume the international donors stop giving that support, how do you intend to, carry on the fight? And even you said you do not expect to win the fight just between you and your other. That means you'll be needing Nigerians.
Yes.
And most of the Nigerians that might be coming to your help, especially if you say you're going to probably do a protest, will be those that are not gainfully employed, because someone who is employed will not leave his office to. How do you intend to support those people, or
So that's why I mentioned. I said people should write letters to their legislators. People should, meet. These legislators go to church. When they return to their constituency, they are in church.
Have you ever tried meeting them on the road?
I have.
And their security will just allow you to meet them.
Of course, I have. Look, people make wrong assumption about these security people. The other day, a minister made a comment somewhere at an event. Okay. And after the event, as he was stepping there, I says, excuse me, sir, I have a question for you based on the comment you made. He stopped. Will I be brutalized for saying, excuse me, sir, I have a question? Sometimes people go with the wrong approach to these things, right? When you go, you want to do a luta, you want to violently engage them. That's when you get that kind of response. But I can't imagine any sensible human being who occupies a public office and somebody says, sorry, sir, I have a question for you. And then the person says, security, beat him up. It doesn't work that way. But the thing I want to say about what you said, let's not mistake two things. First of all, we have international donors who support some of our work. In the case of this open NAS, there is no donor funding for it. It's funded from our pocket. As I mentioned, we are a sustainable organization. We earn money from the services we render to private sector, and we are channeling that money into this campaign. So there's nobody who is funding this campaign. And I continue to throw out that challenge. If you say you have given money for us to demand that National Assembly should make their budget open, I beg you, please make the money, where you put the money, who you gave it to, make it public.
All right.
So people can make all that allegation, but until you provide evidence that you've given money, or you know somebody said that our organization was funded by one politician, it's so laughable, because I also know this politician in question, and if you put my organization and this politician in one room, that same politician will kill us. So it's laughable when people make those allegations.
Thank you very much, Stanley Achonu, for making a whole lot of revelations to us this morning. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll be talking to Stanley Achonu, Operations Manager, BudgIT. And right after now, when we come back, we shall be ending the show. To stay.